which brings us to the heroism of Sarah Fuller. Now, Sarah Fuller seems like an amazing athlete. Okay, she's a way better athlete than I will ever be, obviously. Right? She was the soccer goalkeeper for Vanderbilt University, and she played in the Power Five over the weekend, and she was named the Special Teams Player of the Week, and she kicked a squib kick to start off the second half of Saturday's game against Missouri. Vanderbilt lost the game 41-0. So I'm not sure, like, that's nice. Okay. I'm not sure why that is like a major achievement for women. It seems like major achievements for women would generally be like a major achievement for a man, but a woman did it. It wouldn't be like she did a thing that a man did, but not as well as a man, and therefore it's a major achievement for a woman to do a thing that a man could do, but not nearly as well as a man would do it. Like that's not a major achievement. Right? A major she's an amazing athlete. She's an amazing women's soccer star. Okay, that is not the same as being like amazing on the men's team in football. That's not the same thing. And it's not a major achievement for a woman to do something that a man could do in a men's game and not do it like amazingly well. But affirmative action applies when it comes to the way the media cover these things. The SEC announced her as the Special Teams Player of the Week. Fuller made history. She became the first woman ever to officially take the field during a football game in a major conference football game. Now, she didn't actually like take a tackle. It wasn't like J.J. Watt like went right at her, right, and tackled her, because that would be incredibly dangerous. But the announcement says she took the opening kickoff of the second half against the Tigers as her perfectly executed kick sailed 30 yards and was down at the Missouri 35-yard line. Okay, so 30 yards? I mean, better than I could do. I mean, I'm just going to keep saying that because that's where Twitter goes. Like, well, she's better. Yes, granted. She can kick the ball further than I can. I also did not aspire to play on the Vanderbilt football team, nor do I have the physical capacity to do so. Let's just show film of this kick. The greatest kick, apparently, of all time, like in all of history. Here she was kicking off the second half for Vanderbilt University, and this was the great historic moment for which she won the Special Teams Player of the Week award.
The kick down at the 35-yard line.
That did not sail. That was not.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So it's a squib kick.
What a day.
Right, it's a squib kick.
What a day in college football.
What a day. She kicked the ball. No one is anywhere within 1,000 yards of her. She kicked it maybe 25 yards, and then it bounced like another 5. And what a day. Huge step for women. No, see, I think big steps for women are like, I'm just going to say this. My wife does more for women and for women's empowerment than Sarah Fuller kicking a ball on a men's football team with no chance of actually playing. I mean, I'm sorry, but like kicking a ball 20 yards and having no chance of being tackled is not exactly like what we mean when we think of people playing football so much. I mean, like, that's nice. She's a soccer player. She's a great. Why is it not enough for her to just be a great soccer player? I don't understand. And my wife, who is a doctor and has 3 children, that seems like more of a groundbreaking thing for women to do is to be a doctor. Right? Because women can be just as great as men at being a doctor. But to treat this like this was like an amazing performance is kind of incredible. Okay, the other person who won the Special Teams Player of the Week was Kadarius Toney. And I want to look up what he actually did last week. Okay, so he actually scored on a punt return. Okay, so that seems like more important than not kicking a football all that well in a game that you lose 41-0. So he earned Special Teams Player of the Week, co-Special Teams Player of the Week for the SEC. He returned a punt 50 yards, which ended up being the touchdown that gave the Gators a 14-10 edge at halftime. He also scored a passing, rushing, receiving, and punt return touchdown in a career. That was the first punt return touchdown since an 85-yarder in 2018 for the Florida Gators. On the year, he has 45 receptions for 541 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's slightly more impressive, I think, than kicking a ball like 20 yards and having no chance of being tackled. But again, people are like, well, yes, but it's groundbreaking for a woman. Okay, if you have to add for a woman, it's not groundbreaking. Seriously, because you're demonstrating that the woman is not playing on the same level as the men. If you have to have, that was a great performance for a woman, it would have to be a great performance for a man in a man's sport for it to be truly groundbreaking. Okay, but that's not where the absurdity stops. So apparently, Sarah Fuller, I'm not kidding you, gave a halftime speech to the team, as according to Joe Kinsey at Outkick. Okay, ESPN reporter Courtney Cronin jumped on a Zoom call to chat with Fuller about her time on the Vandy football team. And that's when we learned that Fuller was given the floor to address her fellow football players. If I'm going to be honest, I was a little pissed off at how quiet everybody was on the sideline, Fuller told Cronin. We made a first down, and I was the only one cheering. I was like, what the heck? What's going on? And I tried to get them pumped up, and I was like, you guys need to start cheering your team on. My main thing was during the SEC tournament, my entire team was cheering the entire time. It didn't matter if we were in the locker room or if they were on the sidelines. I think that's what won it for us. Everyone was cheering nonstop. I just went in there, and I said exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we need to be cheering each other on. This is how you win games. This is how you get better, by calling each other out for stuff. And I'm going to call you guys out. We need to be supporting one another. If we get a first down, if an interception happens, it's our fault. We need to be lifting each other up. That's what a team is about. I think this team has struggled, and that's been part of it. Okay, she's been part of the team for 32 seconds, and she kicked a squib kick. Okay, first of all, it is not a perfectly executed squib kick. Okay, you don't have to be a football expert to understand when a squib kick is used. A squib kick is used at the end, usually of the first half, when you are just trying to run out the clock and you don't want to see somebody run it back. You never use a squib kick when you are down 1 million points at the beginning of the second half and give field position to the other team, 35-yard line. Anyway, okay, but she's been on the team for like half a second, and she's lecturing all the male players about what a winner she is in a completely different sport with women. That is not effective. I mean, can you imagine the temerity of that? Seriously, like just the absolute gall of that, to walk into the men's football team. These guys, by the way, are getting crushed out there, right? Not just like they're losing. They're getting physically mauled out there, because that's what football is. These guys are going out there and getting stomped on. You got linebackers who are getting bruised up, and you get this woman walking in the front door. She squib kicks at 20 yards, and she's like, I think that you guys are losers. And you know what? I'm going to lecture you about how to be winners. And the way that we can be winners is by cheering each other on, guys. We're going to cheer like there's no tomorrow. We're going to cheer, and that's going to bring the entire team together. Female empowerment. She says, I hope I gained their respect. It wasn't ill-intentioned at all. I just want this team to succeed and do well. So, Okay, so, again, a few notes. One, Jason Whitlock has noted that that she was practicing all week long. She didn't try a field goal because the team didn't score the entire game. But her longest field goal, I believe she says, is 38 yards, which is great for any person who is not a male football player in an SEC team, right? If you're in the Power 5, you got to be able to kick more than a 38-yard field goal. In any case, the Vanderbilt coach came out and said that the kick went exactly where it was supposed to. And also, I didn't want to overcoach her. I don't think there was a chance of that. I don't think it was like if you overcoached her, she was going to squib kick at 15 yards. Here's the coach, who, by the way, now has no job. He was fired because his team stinks.
We tried to go with the most naturals, the most natural kicks, like in her arsenal. Tried not to, overcoach her, but let her, do and understand, what felt comfortable to her. And that's really what we went with. And I thought she punched it exactly where she needed to punch it. Ball's down 35-yard line. Let's go.
So that was normally you don't actually build like an entire play calling situation around a kicker who only kicks the ball about 25 yards. Like that's normally not what you do. So can we stop pretending that this is like some great historic breakthrough for women? Women are not going to be populating the Power 5 anytime soon. Wake me when a woman is playing quarterback for a Power 5 team, or linebacker, or wide receiver, or cornerback, or anything that is not a kicker who, if they were a dude, would not be on the team, obviously. Also, I just got to point this out again. The differences between men and women are very real. And this actually underscores that there are differences between men and women, because if there were no differences, then she would not be on the team, obviously, nor would she win SEC co-player of the week with a guy who ran back a 50-yard punt return for University of Florida. Anyway, the halftime speech really gets me. It really does. Because again, it again betrays the difference between men and women, differences that are very real. Okay, one of those differences is how men talk in the locker room versus how women talk in the locker room. So women, when it comes to halftime speeches, apparently, according to the book Top Dog, which is an excellent book by Poe Bronson and Ashley Merriman about the science of competition, talks about how men and women are motivated by different things, right? Because men and women are not exactly the same. I know this is very controversial stuff because, again, we're supposed to simultaneously believe that men and women are exactly the same, but also they are not exactly the same. So it's historic when a woman plays in a man's game. So in any case, they are not motivated by the same thing. So she's on the sideline like, why aren't you guys cheering for each other? I want more solidarity. I want more team spirit. None of that motivates dudes. None of that motivates dudes. That is not how dudes get motivated. Dudes get motivated by Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday screaming in people's faces and telling them that they're acting like pansies, so get out there and prove that you're not a pansy. Women are motivated by solidarity. They're motivated by compassion. These are things, okay, so you know who says this? Not me, because if I say it, then it's very bad. Anson Dorrance, who is the UNC women's soccer coach, right? Like one of the great women's soccer coaches of all time. He coached the men's team at UNC, University of North Carolina, and then he coached the women's team. And here's what he said, quote, this is from Top Dog. The single best example of how Dorrance coaches women is in his halftime speech. When he coached men, Dorrance's best ever halftime speech was when he got so mad he kicked a trash can through a window. I drove that sucker through a window and I stormed out, he recalled in The Man Watching. Let me tell you something about human evolution. That spoke volumes to the men in the room. In the second half, everything changed. All of a sudden, we had great energy, tactics, shape, and the game totally turned around. Some men, he feels, need shock to wake them up. Top men are so used to competition that even being on the losing end at halftime is not shock enough. But he would never treat women that way. As Dorrance said, quote, if they've played poorly, you still come storming in like a caged tiger, but because these are women, they can sense immediately that you're upset. The critical thing is tone. You turn to face them and you calmly say, well, what do you think? Now you can hear a chorus of self-flagellation as every woman in the room is taking full responsibility for the disaster taking place. I haven't criticized anyone. I don't need to because they're their own worst critics. And now when the halftime talk ends, they're willing to die for you because all you've done is support them. Okay, so again, I love that she comes in and she's like, I'm going to turn this male team around by lecturing them about togetherness. And all the guys are like, what is this now? What is it? But men and women, exactly the same in every possible way. Proof that they're exactly the same is that we put a woman on the field and celebrated her and had Today's Show interviews with her and talked about how historic it was when she kicked a ball not all that far in a game that her team lost by 41 points. So, well done, everybody. Gender ideology making 0 sense every single day. Every single day. Facts don't care about your feelings, and it's a fact that The Ben Shapiro Show is the largest conservative podcast in the nation. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our content.